Welcome back, everybody, to Forgotten Working Class Podcast. I'm your host, John, and today we have Daniel with us. Where are you calling in from, Daniel?
From Los Angeles, California.
Ooh, how's the weather out there right now?
Oh, it's always beautiful, man.
Yeah.
We pay for it, but you can never really complain.
Is it hot out there right now?
Yeah, right now it's pretty warm. It's going to be about 90s, low 90s right here. I'm in downtown LA right now.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now. We're in Florida, and humidity is just ridiculous lately.
Yeah, I bet.
Rough. So, what do you do for work?
I'm a power underground lineman. My actual title is senior cable splicer. And
Okay.
I've been in the trade for almost 21 years.
Damn,
Uh,
you've been in it for a long time.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It
All
goes by
right,
really
so
quick.
I'm gonna say that you are the. I don't think we've had an underground electrician on yet.
Yeah, I've seen you guys had two linemen on so far. I think those guys one guy was out of Texas. He
Yeah,
said he liked doing the underground, and the other guy was he was in the overhead. But yeah, my specialty is underground power line.
that's awesome. All right, perfect. We get to hear about this because I don't know much about that, which I don't really know much about the whole lineman situation, anyways. I
Okay.
was never a lineman or anything like that, but tell us about it.
Basically, the city of LA, it holds about, I don't know, 3 million people, and a lot of it's overhead, a lot of it's underground. A lot of our underground utility is mostly like in the downtown LA area. A lot of places where there's a lot of high rises, buildings, stuff like that. It's mostly underground. But other than that, the majority of it is still a lot of overhead work.
Okay,
Yeah. And I've been working in underground transmission for like the last 2.5 years. So we maintain and splice everything 138,000 and 230,000 volts.
damn,
Yeah, that's fun.
damn. So when you say underground, do you physically have to get underground in some of these areas?
Yeah, there's utility vaults, right? We call them manholes, maintenance holes,
Yeah.
depending on, how politically correct you want to be, whatever. But yeah, there's, they look like sewer lids. We pop those open, and underneath there's cable, equipment, switches, transformers. Yeah, man, it's all down there.
That's wild.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
There's
awesome.
the vaults are anywhere from like 4 by 6. And we have tunnels that are in our distribution stations that go, I don't know, 100, feet maybe.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah.
So what made you want to get into this line of work?
My uncle,
Really?
actually. Yeah. Yeah. My uncle was he got in with the city, and he got in as an apprentice, became a lineman, and I was about 18 years old right out of high school. And I really had a dead end job, really honestly. I didn't have much aspirations. I wanted to be a chef when I was in high school, but that just didn't pan out. And I partied a lot and just kind of was in a warehouse job, happy, not happy, but content, content with what I was doing,
Yeah.
making change, basically. Um, I was doing, I was up to no good, partying, drinking, smoking weed, selling a lot of weed. So to me, I mean, it was just having fun, right? And my
Yep.
uncle saw me, my brother, and my cousin kind of really not making much of ourselves. And he says, "Hey, there's an opportunity for you guys to take a class to get you into the trade." So we did it, and it took the test. It took 2 years to finally get a call to get a job offer, and that was it. I hired in as a groundman. We call them electrical craft helpers, grunt work. Guys working, with the journeyman, getting stuff, sending stuff up the poles and stuff. And I was in that position for about 5 years. Joined the apprenticeship. At that time, our apprenticeship had split. You could either go strictly overhead, be a power lineman, or go underground and be a cable splicer. And I knew I knew more of the underground work than I did the overhead. So that's the route I went.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it ever since.
Ever since. Yeah, ever since. I was a helper for about 5 years. The apprenticeship's 3.5 years. And I was a journeyman. Once he broke out, I was a journeyman cable splicer for 5 years, and then promoted to senior. And with that position, you hold more of like a supervisor role. You run a crew. You could do hot work in the underground, which is fun. And then I've been in that position ever since, man.
It's wild. That's awesome. So you said your uncle was doing it. Now, did any other your family members get into it, or was your dad or any other uncles involved in blue collar?
Definitely lots of blue collar in my family. As far as the power line trade, my uncle was the only one at first. My dad was when I was a kid, he was a hydraulics mechanic, right? He worked on hydraulics, high pressure hydraulics, stuff like that. He ran a shop in San Francisco. And then a few years after that, he got into law enforcement. And he
Oh, damn!
yeah,
Yeah, that's a complete different change. You went from hydraulic mechanic right into law enforcement. That's a bit. What's he
yeah.
do now? Is he retired?
He's retired. Yeah, he's been
Yeah,
retired for probably 6 years. And my mom, uh, union card holder for the last 30 years, man. So yeah, we as blue collars in my blood.
that's right.
Absolutely.
That's what we say because we do have an apparel company. It's called Arcing Ahead,
Yeah,
and our slogan is it's blue collar blood type, and
that's
that's
right.
because you either got it or you don't. And we've seen it happen to multiple guys, men or women. I can go do that job. All right, come on out here and do it. And they don't last. They don't.
No, they don't last.
No,
Yeah,
maybe
I've
a
seen
week,
it
maybe
too.
a day.
Right, right, and especially over here, man. The pay is so lucrative, the benefits are amazing, right? And to have the opportunity, and either you choose to step away from it, which is I think even worse, or you just can't cut it. Either way, man. Either way you look at it, it's kind of it's unfortunate, but it's not for everybody. It really isn't.
No, I think a big problem. Now, I've had this talk with a couple of our guests, and we had the talk that the biggest problem that we see today is that you have the newer generation. They see that blue collar is where you can make some money, and instead of finding their passion to take pride in a job, they chase the money.
Yeah,
And then that's great for anybody that wants to get in the trades. I fully support it. But if you're just chasing money, you ain't going to be happy doing what you're doing. And it ain't going to take long before you're like, screw this. And you're off to the next job. And before
right.
you know it, you got to show that resume. And they're going to be like, yo, you quit, this month, this month, this month, this month.
Uh,
No,
yeah,
you
man.
screw
I've
yourself in the end.
I'm 42 years old, and I can count the number of jobs I've had on less than one hand.
That's really
So
good.
yeah, and one guy asked me too. He asked me, it was a while ago. He's like, "Hey man, how long have you been in the trade?" He's asking me questions. He was a brand new guy, and he asked me. He says, "Do you love it?" And I said, "You know what, man, I don't." And it threw him, right. And he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Honestly, I don't love it." I said, "I get up at 4 in the morning. I At this time I was commuting really far. I said I travel an hour and a half to get here to my job site, and then 2.5 hours to get back home. I said, do I love that? No, I'd rather be closer to home or something like that. I said, but it's a great job, right? And I take pride in what I do. And if I don't do my job right, somebody's going to get hurt. I can get hurt, and I can't have that, right? So, do I love it? No, but do I take pride in anything I do? Absolutely, right? And you should. You should.
No, I fully agree with that. I actually, people ask you love your job. I did love what I did.
Yeah.
I loved being a rock miner. I absolutely took pride in it. But it was love hate. There was multiple, multiple days that I was like, fuck that job. I ain't never coming back. I'm not coming back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then, you wake up in the morning and you're like, all right, off to work.
Yeah. Let's strap those boots on, man. Let's get it in.
Yep. Let's just go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely agree. It's a love hate thing. So I did see that you have had your own work accident.
Yeah. Yeah. Two of them.
Let me
When
hear
I
about
was
this.
Yeah, when I was an apprentice, this was 2011. I was a four-step apprentice, and me and another apprentice were in an underground vault, and we were tasked with putting on this last layer of tape. It was like just basically to keep the splice clean, to waterproof it, The job was to take some live energized conductor, tap another conductor on there with a split bolt connector, right? And while they're going over their tailgate and explaining the job, I was kind of like, the connector doesn't seem like it's the right fit for what we got going on. Because it's a split bolt, right? So it's going to be like that, and there's going to be a whole lot of bolts sticking out underneath it. Because the connector was made for two 500. I don't know if you're familiar with cable sizes, 500 MCM. It's
No.
pretty thick. So we were going to do 500 with a number 6, which is really small. That means that there was going to be a whole lot of bolts sticking out underneath, and they were going to put this insulating tape, right? We put like 12, 13 layers of insulating tape because each one of those phases is 2770, right? 2,770 volts phase to ground. But I didn't mention anything. I didn't mention it in the tailgate. I didn't express what my idea of how to make the splice better, cleaner, safer. So they went ahead with the way they were doing it. And while they were putting that insulated tape, it kept ripping on the bottom of that bolt. It kept ripping and ripping and ripping. Every single layer that we thought was making it safe and insulated was not. So the other apprentice and I went down there, we put in tape on, and it's the very last one. So it's like A phase, B phase, C phase in the middle. And he's putting on tape and I'm putting on tape on the other side of the splice. We're right next to each other because it was a very small hole. It was probably maybe 7, 8 feet wide. And I just remember hearing like that noise, when electricity goes to ground or it faults, right? It's just like, whoa. And then I just like a tunnel, man. And then it was like a split second, and because I was sitting on like a toolbox, and then I was leaning back with my back against the wall, and there was actually a journeyman behind us, and I was just like, I remember just my hands were shaking, and I was like, what the hell just happened? And then it just hit me, man, like, you guys just got fucking lit. You guys just got smoked. And so I'm trying to relax my breathing. My chest feels like I just got kicked by a horse, man. My chest was it was in pain. And I started looking for blood, like my bleeding. I'm looking for like an entrance wound, an exit wound, because I knew I got electrocuted.
Yeah.
And the other apprentice is holding his hand, and he's like, I have to go to the burn center, man. I have to go to the burn center. And so they de-energize the circuit. I hear the ambulance coming, and I said, hey, man, can you climb out of here? Like, we're going to send the ladder. Can you climb out? And he says, yes. And I look up, and his hand is it's gray, it's singed, it's burned. I still don't know where I'm burned at. We come out of the hole 5 minutes later, like the ambulance is there, they're checking us out. And finally, the shock just kind of wears down on me, and I feel a burning sensation on the outside of my left knee. And so I pull my pants up, and there's like 3 or 4 little burn marks right there, right? And I go, okay, here it is. Like those are my burn wounds. And he made full contact, 2770, phase to ground, right? He contacted here on his hand, and then it grounded out on his elbow. And I only had exit wounds. So, we call it electrical theory because this is, it's like it's like it's science, right?
Yeah.
It's science. So electrical theory is I came to potential because luckily we were still standing on rubber insulating blankets. So we didn't go completely grounded out on our feet. Yeah. So I came to potential from what we're guessing. I'm guessing I came to potential and grounded out on my leg. I spent 2 nights at the burn center. I didn't need skin grafts or anything like that, but he did it. He did. He ended up needing skin grafts on his hand, and the exit wound, man, it got really bad. It was like the size of like maybe a pencil eraser at first, and then it opened up to maybe like the size of a pepperoni. After the flesh had just decayed and went away. And I was kicking myself in the ass the whole time. I was mad because I didn't speak up, right? I didn't speak up on what I thought was a better idea. And I was scared to go back to work. I didn't handle it the right way. I used to drink back then, so I dove into the bottle, man.
Is the reason you didn't speak up because you were apprentice?
I think so. Apprentice.
Still kind of green.
Yeah, I knew I didn't have the confidence.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
people should understand that if you're out in these jobs, you know, you can one refuse to do something. Nobody can make you do anything.
Right.
Number two, if you think something's not safe and it's not going to work, or you have doubts about it, bring it up.
Yeah.
You know, because I get it. You don't want to be like, hey, I don't think this is right, and then the boss turn around and be like, shut up,
Shut up, kid.
back to
Yeah.
work.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I think that you guys, you know, it's somebody doesn't think it's safe, bring that stuff up, say something, because
Yeah.
you never know what is going to happen in the end.
Right. You might look dumb for a second, man, but you might have somebody else rethinking it too, you know, and then they're going to
That
look at each other and talk about it. And hey, man, maybe that is a better idea. We should rock with that, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, I went back to work, you know, I was off of work for like a month. Um, 6 months after that is when I quit drinking, actually. Uh,
that's awesome.
6 months. Yeah. And then about a year after that, took my practical, became a journeyman, and promoted, like I said, to the position I am now, senior cable splicer. And then we were tasked with the job of switching in an underground vault. Uh, it's not really designed to be switched in energized, so we kind of the utility I work for made this switch. It's a house made switch that you put some leads on there and you close the switch and it's oil. You can open up the blades and in the underground vault. And, you drop load by opening up the switch up on the street surface level, and you de-energize it like that. So we were tasked with this job, and it was me and another senior. And the way the switch is made up is there's four positions, right? It's upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right, and each position has your three phases: A, B, and C. So our task was to open up the upper left position, and you're supposed to work it same level, right? I'm just trying to get this on the camera here. Same level, right? And then there's the other two positions down here. That's the way it's written in the procedure. So for the upper level, we had to stand on an A-frame ladder. Again, it was another small vault. Two A-frame ladders weren't going to fit. So we had a conversation. Hey, man, you work that upper position off the ladder. I'm going to stand on the ground and work the lower position. And we just make sure we're on the same phases, right? Every single operation we're going to do, we're going to make sure we're on the same phases. Yep, sounds good. And that was basically it. We start going to work, and communication just seemed to break down.
Yeah.
We weren't really communicating every step we were doing. He would make a step without telling me. I would make a step without telling him. And essentially, when we went to go do our second operation, he went to the next phase, B phase. I put my lead back on A phase, closed the switch. I called for the guy up top to close the switch, and we cross phase, man. 4800-volt cross phase exploded right in my face. It was 11 inches from my face. I was holding the lead. While it was going off, the circuit breaker that we were working on failed to operate. So it's still firing off for a couple of seconds. It took about over 4,000 amps of fault current for it to finally trip the high side breaker inside of the station. So that whole time,
Jesus,
yeah, it was gnarly, man.
that's wild.
It was like the loudest, brightest thing I'd ever experienced in my life. I had safety glasses. Part of our safety protocol when we're doing switching like that is safety glasses, hard hat with a face shield, 2 layers of fire resistant clothing. So the clothing I had on, I exceeded it. I had on all the proper PPE. We had balaclavas, like full face mask coverings, like NASCAR drivers wear.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessary. It wasn't mandatory at the time. I didn't wear it, but if I did, it probably would have saved the burns on my face. I ended up with third-degree burns on my face, uh, everywhere, man, from my forehead. The only thing that didn't get burned was where my safety glasses were. My ears, my nose, my lips, everything right here got it the worst, and my ears got it the worst, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent 10 nights at the burn center, 2 skin graft surgeries. I was off work for 5 months. That was gnarly. It was gnarly. They were
Crazy.
saying once, like the safety section, everything showed up. They're like, "Bro, how did he survive?" Like Uh, yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. I didn't black out. I remember everything, man. I remember every single part of it.
And you still go back to doing the same job. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
I did. I did. But still, then again, man, like I was at home and like I was scared, bro.
Yeah.
You know, I was scared. I had a lot of self doubt, because I'd always held myself as a safe worker. I'm not going to take shortcuts. We're going to write out everything on the tailgate sheet, making sure that our radio information is good. I'm going to do a radio check, and I'm going to make sure that everybody on the crew knows where the first aid equipment is, the fire extinguisher, um, everything. If anything goes wrong, how are we going to make the emergency go smooth? And, luckily that tailgate that we had was very thorough. Our training is very good. The helper that I was working with, dude, I saw that fire shooting out of that vault, bro. I started running, man. I ran, and then it clicked in my head, like, you need to call an emergency on the radio, and he did. And paramedics were there in a matter of minutes. We have burn gel kits that we carry on our trucks, it's like just like water impregnated gauze. It's like a water gel,
Really?
a gauze, yeah. So right away, I come out the hole and we put one on my face. Everybody's there, rendering first aid, and I took me to the hospital, and they did what they did there.
Wild, man. I'm glad
It
that
was,
everything worked out.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Me too, man. But
Yeah, it's you know,
you had a gnarly accident too, bro. Like I I saw your Instagram page. Like it just popped up on my feed. I'm pretty sure we follow a lot of the same pages. Blue collar. Um, and then I forgot what it was, and I saw it, man. I was like, I gotta follow this dude. That's nuts, right? What happened? And then it was until recently, like you had posted some of those photos in your story, like post op. I think one of them was when you had your lat
yeah.
muscle. And I was like, oh my God, dude, that's nuts. I commented on it, and then we started exchanging, messages, and here we are, man. But
Yeah, there's a video I have that my wife did the 360 around my head when I was sitting in the hospital, I'm just sitting there. And you can see my whole skull on both sides. And just like you said, the exit wound, it just deteriorated the tissue. So it entered my head here, which if you look, I can
oh
move it.
wow. Yeah, dude.
So it's a hole in my skull right there now. So I hit here and it came out the back of my neck.
Wow.
And it burned, everything all the way down to here. But it burned the tissue. So my original, it's hard to do with the camera.
Right.
So this triangle right here is my original skin.
Yeah.
Everything else is not.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
did, it burned it like right off.
I don't know if a lot of people realize, like an electrical contact, the skin, the tissue keeps burning, man, underneath the layers. It'll burn and burn and burn. Like it burns from the outside, from the inside
Yeah.
out, you know. So like when I burned my face, it was all just thermal, it was all exterior. I never made electrical contact on that second accident. Um, so yeah, that was nuts, man. That was gnarly, man. But I mean, dude, science is great, right? The doctors, the technology they have now,
It's incredible.
yeah,
Because so they did the holes in my head and the skull. They only went like that deep. Is to see if your skull will regranulate tissue, grow new tissue. And it started to, but it was taking too long. And they were like, here's your
yeah.
options. You can spend about a year in the hospital and grow new tissue, or we take the muscle out of your back and put it on your head.
Wow.
And I was like, all right, let's do the muscle. So I did. I came out of that surgery and my head was like this big, and I was like,
Uh,
what is this? I was so mad. I was like, what is
yeah.
this? And they were like, that's your muscle. And I was like, this is how it's gonna look? Like, no, 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 no. It's gonna shrink down. I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah. Don't exercise it, huh?
Yeah. And it did, it shrunk down, and then about a year out of the hospital, I noticed that this started to pulse. And I went to my plastic surgeon, and she was like, "That's a hole in your skull." So that hole wasn't there in the hospital. Well, my skull was all good. That hole developed about a year out of it.
Oh wow. It just slowly, huh?
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so we kind of have like a burn directive if anybody here, because I mean it's just so common here, man, which sucks in our industry in the power line trade, you know, um it's common, you know, it's common. And luckily, you know, we haven't had much fatality since I've been here. We've had two. I've been here 20 years, man, and we've had two, one on the job, one guy passed away after his accident, and we've had deaths and people being revived, right? And they're still with us, thank God. Um, but I mean, what they do, it's amazing. I go to the hospital, and it's my second time there. You know, I'm like, where's, you know, give me a punch card, man. Like, you know, just trying to make light of the situation. You know, but yeah, so they sent me to county right away, right? The trauma center, the nearest trauma center was County USC, which has a bad reputation, right? And I was like, hey, I need to go to the burn. I need to go to the burn center. I need to go to Grossman Burn Center. Oh, you know, we're gonna just observe you. We'll hold on to you here. And I kept telling them, I need to go to the burn center. And this was 2021, right? So it's like halfways in between, kind of the tail end of COVID. So I had no representation as far as you know, the safety section or union reps or nothing. I had nobody else on my side except me in there telling this charge nurse what I need for myself.
Yeah.
And she's saying, they're like, well, we're just gonna check you overnight, we're gonna observe you overnight, and then we're gonna send you home. You're kidding me.
Yeah. Send you
No.
home.
Yeah, send me home. Like, were you gonna give me some ointment and send me home? Like, no way. I said, look, I go, you don't understand how severe this is and how bad I need to go there. I said, I'm getting to the point where I'm going to discharge myself. I then just get my own ride, right? Is there anything that you can't stop me from that, right?
Yeah.
I go, no. I go, okay, so then you understand. I'm not going home tonight. I'm going to that burn center. So I ended up getting a ride there. And right away, the doctor comes in and we talk a little bit. And he's like, yeah, he goes, you're going to need one skin graft surgery, you know, maybe two, who knows, maybe three. He goes, we're going to have to see how it goes. I don't know how long you're going to be here. You know, I don't know what the recovery is going to look like 100%. He goes, but, you know, we're going to be here. And yeah, man, I was there 10 nights, I think May 4th. So it happened April 27th, April 27th, 2021, right? And then like 3 or 4 days later, we had the first skin graft surgery. They put cadaver skin everywhere. And then they take the bandages off, and a couple of days later we have the second skin graft surgery, and they put they call it xenograft, right? So they put that on, and then a couple of days later they discharged me, and they're saying, you know, just keep putting this ointment on, and slowly as your new skin starts to develop, this the xenograft's going to slightly peel off. You just cut it with some scissors and keep putting, you know, your ointment. And it did. I did, and I couldn't be in the sun for a whole full year, you know, which sucked. It's Southern California, man. Like, you know, I gotta get
Oh,
tan.
yeah.
But yeah, well, I was in the hospital. It was the skin graft surgeries, the hyperbaric chamber, right? I was in there twice, once in the morning, once at lunchtime. You know, I don't know if they did anything like that with you.
No, I didn't do the hyperbaric chamber, but I've had people talk to me about that, and I've heard about it. But no, I
Yeah.
didn't do that.
Okay. Yeah. So I did that, and then, you know, a few months after everything had kind of healed up, I started going back for laser treatments, skin laser treatments, and I just finished up another round. You can't really tell. A lot of people can't really tell unless you get really close, um, which is kind of cool, right? You know, it's
Laser
very
does
cool. Like,
wonders.
yeah, yeah.
So
I finished up.
I did laser too. I went to the woman who actually started laser on burn patients. She's down in Miami,
Yeah.
and this right here was so tight. This cord, all that was
Mm.
so tight that I could barely move my head when I got out of the hospital. And then they were like, "Hey, you should should look into doing laser. And I was like, okay, cool. So I
Yeah.
actually started my first session of laser was at the hospital. And I was like, nope, nope, that fucking hurts. I'm not doing it. And then I ended up finding this woman, and she was literally the person who started it. So I was like, all right, well, she has to be good. I mean, she's the one that started this. So I went to her, and I mean, it's still painful, but I was able to move after like the second session. And then I've done 7 sessions and I stopped and took a break, but I'd like to go do some more because I mean, it does help.
Yeah. Yeah, I made the decision finally where I'm not going to do it anymore. So when I was with my original doctor, they were doing some treatments. I had to get like some steroid shots where some of the scars were keloided. But the laser wasn't that intense. And then I do follow up with a second dermatologist, and he goes, "Yeah, what kind of laser was it?" I go, "I don't know." He said there was two types, and this one was the one I did before was the least painful. He goes, "This one's the more painful." And I was like, "Fuck, okay." So we did it, man. We did the first treatment, dude, and I mean, literally they just reburn your skin, and
Yeah.
it was painful, dude. Yeah, it was painful.
Yeah.
I did 4 rounds, and then they were like, "Well, we'll come back in 3 months and see what we want to do." Well, I decided I'm not doing it again.
Yeah. They showed me before I even did it. They were like, you want to see what it does? And I was like, yeah. And they took a popsicle stick and they hit it with a laser. Bah, 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 and
Yeah,
it burned the holes in the popsicle stick. And I was like, that's what you're going to do to me? And they were like, yeah.
yeah,
And I was like, Jesus.
yeah,
You
yeah.
burn
There's a
holes in
vacuum.
wood.
There's a vacuum there to suck up the smoke, because it's just burning your
Yeah.
flesh, and yeah, it was gnarly.
It's rough, but man, does it help.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, that whole healing process, everything, man, internal, external, I would have nightmares, dude. I don't know about you, if you want to speak on that or not, but I will, man. I speak about it all the time, dude. I had nightmares. I'd wake up with that bang, that flash, and oh god, dude, like you're in bed, you're safe. I
So
finally ended up seeing a psychologist, and it helped out, man.
I love that you got on the subject.
Mhm.
So it's crazy because you remember everything. I don't remember anything.
Right.
I don't know how it felt. I don't remember nothing. I just woke up out of a coma. So I do have a lot of nightmares from my coma because I do remember my coma. Terrifying. But in the hospital, like they'd come in and they'd flip the lights on, and that flash
Mm.
would scare the shit out of me. My wife, she couldn't turn the lights on in the house. She'd have to let me know, like walk in and, hey, I'm here. And then she'd flip the lights on. But I never seen it. But the flash would scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, man. Even now, like we'll be at work and we'll be working in a station or something in a vault, and somebody will drop a tool or somebody will make a loud bang, right? They hit they'll hit something. Oh man, it startles the hell out of me, dude. It's
Yeah.
still
You have
absolutely.
PTSD from it,
Yeah, yeah,
which is crazy to say, right? Because anytime you hear PTSD, the first thing you think of is military. You don't ever
right,
think of being a blue collar worker that you're gonna maybe one day get PTSD from the job that you're doing.
right.
And when they told me that in the hospital, because they were like, "You have PTSD," and I was like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, that's what you have," and I was like, "I wasn't in the military," and they're like, "That doesn't mean you're in the military. It's post traumatic stress. It's from a trauma. All the trauma." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, man. And it's just, I think it's just even now, being a little bit more hip to it, going to the psychologist and talking about it. And not only that, man, just open up all kinds of other shit that I was holding in
Yeah,
from before. A lot of things that we see on the job sites, man. We're not supposed to see some of these things. There's we got brothers and sisters, that are out there on the East Coast, right, trying to restore power right now after this last
yeah,
hurricane, and they're seeing things and people that are
terrible
lost
thing.
and missing, right? And like, how can you deal with that? You can't, and a lot of guys don't talk about it.
See,
They
that's
handle it the wrong way, right? With the wrong vices, or hold it in because that's how we were told to be a man, and suck it down, right? Or suck it up. But Man, it hurts, dude.
It
You know,
does.
it
Yeah.
fucking hurts.
It's it's something that's not talked about enough is the mental side of what we all do. You know, these jobs, yeah, you think safety, you think everything, but you're put in that position that the job has to get done now. There's
Yeah,
no slacking. Get the fucking job done and get it done now. I don't care what you have to do. So then you have your that's on your mind. It has to be done. It has to be done. But then you're trying to think, I got to do this in a safe way where I'm not going to get hurt. There's so much going on, and you don't want to piss anybody off. You don't want to piss off your boss. You don't want to be late for work. You're worried about money. You're worried about your family. That in the end, what we all do, like you said, is that we were taught, that's your job. Shut up and get it done.
yeah,
So yeah, you
right.
push everything down, and then there's one of those days you're gonna fucking snap.
Yeah,
And it
I
is
mean, yeah,
good. Go ahead.
talking about PTSD, right? And you hear about it mostly with military. All the frontline workers, man. Military, fire,
Yeah,
paramedic, police. Like, dude, they're probably one of the highest suicide rates in the blue collar, first responder communities, dude. You know
yeah,
why? Because of some of the shit that we have to see, and you know, we don't want to reach out for resources, man, because we don't want to seem weak. We don't want to seem like we
that's what
can't
it is.
handle it.
When I
You
had to,
know?
like you said, that you're seeing somebody, when it came time that, my wife was like, you should probably go look for a therapist to talk to. So I did. And it took me forever to even be like, you know what? I'll do that. Cause I was like,
Yeah,
I don't need somebody to talk to. I'm not going to talk to somebody. And it finally got to that point where it was like, maybe I should. And I did. And it was the best decision because to get everything off your chest, it's like, oh. So if you guys are going through something and you got your own shit going on and you don't know what to do, maybe you should talk to somebody because it does help.
yeah,
Instead of waiting for that one day that you just snap and fucking lose
yeah,
your shit.
yeah.
Get
Lose
it
it.
out now.
That's what I did. And I'm not trying to say you guys are not right or not good or whatever. I mean, shit, I did it. That first accident I had, dude, I drank even more, and it put a
Yeah.
huge strain on my relationship. It made me um, more of a liability at work. Because I'd drink at night and then I'd wake up fucking hungover, drive to work, and it's like, dude, now we got to babysit this asshole, dude. Like he stinks.
Yeah.
You know. But you know, it helps, man. It definitely helps. I tried to not drink on my own, and it didn't work. Right, it didn't stick. I had to check myself into a program. Right, I had to have a coach. I had to have somebody show me, give me tools. Right, the same thing with a psychologist. You know,
So how long have you been sober?
oh man, I'm going on 14 years. It'll be 14 years in February.
That's awesome, dude. I'm 10
Yeah, thank
years.
you. Dude, that's great, man.
Yep. Same thing. I
Yeah,
dumped it all out. I was done. It was ruining my life, ruining my jobs, ruining relationships. And
yeah,
that was it. Just dumped it all out and didn't look back. And it was so hard to do. But
yeah,
now thinking, no, all right, so you're 14 years, I'm 10 years. I think it's absolutely crazy to tell me if this is true. You can sit there and think about what the feeling is to be hungover the next day, and you automatically can just feel that. Even not having a drink for 10 years, I know what
yeah,
that feeling is, and it's just the absolute most disgusting feeling.
yeah. Yeah, it is, man. The burp.
Yeah, it's just that
Like
your
the
body feels
headache,
like
the
shit.
cotton mouth, dude. Eh, yeah. I do not regret
Not one
being
bit.
sober, getting sober, dude. It's the best thing. Like my kids were small. My son has never seen me with a drink in my hand ever. You know, um, my daughter's in college. She's not out there looking for parties. My son's in high school. He's not out there looking for parties the same way I was. It's something to be proud of, dude. It's
Yeah.
something that I'm not ashamed to say.
No,
You
not
know,
one bit. No.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not spending money on that and then waking up every single day feeling like shit, knowing I have to go to work and work through it no matter what, throwing
yeah,
up or not. No, I don't miss
right,
it at all.
right. Yeah, man. That's kind of why I just stick to my disciplines now. It's just get up, read, journal, work out. For me, that was part of my therapy because I was already kind of like on a fitness journey, right? Because when I was drinking, man, back then I was almost 300 pounds. I quit drinking and I changed my diet. I lost some weight, but then I still wanted to lose more. I wanted to lose more weight, so I did. And that time of my second accident, I had already lost maybe about 80 pounds. Um, and that was part of my therapy, right? Before, because it took me 4 months to go see the therapist after my accident.
Yeah.
So from the time of my accident to 4 months, I was still trying to stick to my nutrition plan. Uh, I would get up and run or work out in my garage, as much as I could without, getting all sweaty or whatever because there's shit all over my face. Um, but dude, once I could go back into the gym and get back on it, dude, I did, man. I did. And that was, for me, that was huge. That was part of my therapy. That was part of my release. And people are like, man, why don't you take a break? It's because it's right here, man. It helps here
Yeah.
more than here, People don't
Yeah, you're
realize that.
trading one hobby for a next. You're getting rid of the drinking and you're putting in the gym, which is great trade. You're
Right.
getting healthier and
Absolutely.
you're getting in shape, makes you feel good. You don't
Yeah.
feel like shit at the end of the day.
Right. Right. And man, and after so many guys have asked, like, dude, what did you do? How did you do it? Like, I started coaching, dude. I come here, I do work, and then I guys send me messages, and I coach them on the side, outside of my 9 to 5 here. I got 9 to 5 and a 5 to 9, dude. It's double duty, bro. But for what it can do for other guys, what it's doing for guys in the trade, guys, my buddies, like, dude, I've lost 30 pounds, I've lost 60 pounds, I lost 80 pounds. I haven't drank in 6 months, bro. Like, for me, dude, that hits it, man.
Yeah.
That hits it, dude. So, I mean, I love it. I like spicy cable. I love to cook. I spice cable, and I like to help people transform their lives, bro. Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome, dude. Well, Daniel, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast. It was an amazing episode. Love chatting with you.
Absolutely,
I
man.
definitely think that we should probably get together again. I think we should do an
Yeah,
episode strictly on mental health.
I agree, brother. Let's
I
do it.
think that would be a good one. So we're definitely
Yeah.
gonna keep in touch because I think we're gonna do another one.
Awesome,
But
man.
everybody that's watching, if you enjoyed it, make sure you like, you subscribe, and make sure you guys tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch that new episode coming out. So once again, man, thank you for coming on here. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
And yeah, we'll definitely be keeping in touch. We'll get a hold of you again.
Let's go.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All
Be
right.
safe.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you too.
All right.